you find a real estate platform that aligns everyone in the entire company financially by making us real estate agents owners, so when the average agent wins, everyone wins, that's the secret to success. And when you surround yourself with like-minded entrepreneurial people who absolutely love what they do, they love serving people, they love God and life, and you put yourself in an environment of high energy, high producing, positive people every day, you can't help but succeed in business and life. We are changing the real estate industry and changing real estate agents' lives. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Forever Podcast.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Forever Podcast. Today, I'm super excited to introduce one of my business partner, Derrick Chan from Mississauga, Ontario. How you doing today, Derrick?
I'm great, man. How you doing?
Oh, fantastic. I'm really excited to talk to you today, and our listeners are in for a treat because let me give you a little bit of background about Derrick. He's been a real estate agent for a little over 20 years, and he told me that they started off as a solo agent kind of by accident because his mother was a realtor and she made it look real easy. But he said he was humbled because he really didn't even do a deal his first year. However, his team was ranked within the top 1% of the marketplace for the last 15 years, and they're consistently making between 1.2 and 1.5 million and complete between 80 and 120 ends in the last 10 years, year after year. So that's a big deal, and we're excited to share a little bit of your history and what you've done, Derrick, to go from zero to hundreds of units a year. So congratulations for your accomplishments.
Yeah, thanks, Andre. Super glad to be on this podcast. Real kind of flattered to get invited here because I know the people that you have on are such amazing people as well. So kind of grateful that you invited me on your show.
Yeah, it was great to meet you face to face there in Orlando. Had a lot of fun at our shareholder summit, and once we met you, I definitely wanted to get you on our show. But yeah, just let's get started by just telling us a little bit about yourself, your real estate background, and your story.
Yeah. So like you had mentioned, Andre, I've been in the business now just like about 21 years going into it. So, you meet the EXP agents and they're a lot younger demographic than me, typically you and I, right? Yeah. And so they're young hustlers coming up. And so like, I just feel, older in this business. Cause I remember I was talking to a buddy of mine yesterday, a new team member, and I'm like, man, we didn't have DocuSign and digital signing. We used to be negotiating offers back and forth at 1 or 2 in the morning, like going out with the paperwork. But since then, with the advent of the digital space, like we've been able to do more in my pajamas, especially during COVID. Right? So, but yeah, I've had a great career, and I think I was sharing with you at Shareholder Summit, in 2017, we came off the best year ever in GCI, and I felt like I wanted to quit then, you know what I mean? So it's weird because I'm like, in my heart, for me, this is not to turn into a sermon, but I'm like a Christian right now, born again Christian. Right. And I felt like I wanted to do more for God. And I'm like, hey, real estate ain't advancing the kingdom. Maybe I got to go back, and do I have to be a pastor? Do I got to be a missionary and all that kind of stuff? So I took kind of a 6-month sabbatical just to pray through it and I seek counsel. And then what God had showed me through people is that, hey, you're great at what you do. You love people. God has put you in this business, but instead of building the kingdom of Derrick, build the kingdom of God, right? And I'm like, okay, so what does that mean, God? You can have it. It's all yours, right? And so the last several years I've been working towards more of my kingdom vision. And so that's why we did our rebrand last year to Kingdom Realty Group. And really our goal at the end of this is we want to give back 50% of our profits to give back to missions or kingdom advancement kind of organizations.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Praise God for that. That's I love that, giving back to the community and to the kingdom. Amen.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Yeah. And I know you're a believer, and we were talking about it too. And I think that's sort of what I wanted to share today. It's hey, how do you figure out your why? Because I don't think that if I didn't understand, why I wanted to do this, I probably would have quit the business a long time ago. And there's always trials in our business, right? There's ups and downs. It's like failing forward. Like, when you're trying to manage people, like there's just so many like different things that can be emotionally draining. And so, if you don't understand your why and why you're doing this, then like it could actually be detrimental, right?
Yeah, I mean, real estate, I've been doing this for 32 years before I had gray hair, and things have changed a whole heck of a lot. In the beginning, it was all about, building your business and helping as many people as you can, obviously making a great income. But after you've been doing this for as long as we have, you get beat up a little bit, and your priorities change. And for me, like yourself, became, Christian and found the Lord and have a kind of a new purpose to really help, more buyers and sellers, more real estate agents as much as we possibly can, but for what's best for them, and then show the light of God at the same time. It's pretty cool opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, that's one of the things I learned at like Shareholder Summit when we were sitting around the mastermind with the top 50 teams in EXP. Everybody that I was listening to that is serving at a high level, whether it be the real estate business or whether their like agent attraction numbers are off the charts, everybody is trying to serve other people, right? It's not about them. So they're not like, hey, it's about my GCI, my monthly rev share and things like that. It was more, hey, like, how do we add value to people? And so, we have to constantly remind ourselves, even myself, to like, it's not about us, right? It's better to give than to receive, right? And so it's all about like, the servant's heart, even though at times I'm like, I want things for myself too, right? You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that's, but I think the highest achievement is done through like service, for sure.
Yeah, that's fantastic. The more you give, the more that you receive, for sure.
Yeah.
So tell us, so before joining EXP, what company were you with before, and how?
Yeah, I was with Keller Williams for about 10 years before 10 years. And then Remax for, I think, like 9 or 10 years as well before that. And so, I mean, there's a lot of similarities within Keller Williams and EXP as far as like, teaching and training, and even the rev share profit share model was like similar. So I understood the principle behind it. But the reason why I shifted from Keller Williams to EXP was really it didn't really have anything to do with the rev share. Guys like you are actually inspiring me about this, opening my eyes to rev share and how it can actually be a legitimate way to fund your future. But the reason why I jumped over, because I see your digital platform and online lead generation is a huge part of like how I can scale out my business, right? I'm now taking a backseat to like production. So I'm really not even going out on the street anymore, if you will, and I'm managing the team. But how do I get more business and lead generate for my team members that are coming in? Because a lot of it's my sphere. So EXP through KV Core, through the online digital marketing, like I was watching teams come over and literally like 4Xing their business. And I'm like, man, there's something in there that is working. And I got to figure it out, because then again, like I'm not serving my team to the highest level if I'm not helping them grow and also help them. I don't want to do the hunting for them, if that makes sense, but I want to complement them, right? They're out hunting, and I also want to, contribute as well to them. Yeah,
that's fantastic. So what was the big aha for you, that you said you've seen all these people coming over and 4 to 5X in your business? And obviously you've grown your business quite a bit since you've moved over. What do you give that credit to?
Yeah, I would say that, like, so again, like who you like name, like, if people who aren't with EXP right now, like you have a sponsor and whatever, so you have an upline. So like, I'm just very fortunate. I kind of just flukily, if you will, became in your upline. So you guys have this amazing training, these podcasts, like Rick Dillon, he puts on like a weekly mastermind and training in our local marketplace. So it's just like, hey, if you're plugged into like learning and growing with that kind of mindset, that's where your business is going to take off. And, there's so many great agents out there. And so it's a lonely business sometimes, but when you're with the right people, like you just mastermind and share ideas, right? So that's, I think, the biggest advantage to, joining EXP.
Yeah, it was a big eye opener for me as well. I mean, I've been a part of a few different companies before, but as a coach, helped a lot of agents from all different companies out there, and the collaboration is always good. I know a lot of people rave about how great the collaboration and help is, with KW, but it's just different here. I mean, it's kind of over the top because we're all owners of the company, right? We all have ownership in the company, and it makes a huge difference when somebody's calling you that you don't even know, but they're asking for help. I mean, I don't know how many times a day that or a week that I'm talking to people. They're not in my in my upline or downline, but they're in EXP and they've heard of me about whatever, and they're asking for help. And I'll spend 23 an hour on a call or a Zoom to help these people because we're literally all in the same company. But when I help someone in Texas or Canada or Ontario or wherever, what they always say is all tides. How's it go? Rising tides raises all ships, right? So
Yeah.
when we can help somebody in our market or anywhere across the country, and it helps the company sell more houses or build, we're really building our own wealth as because we're stock owners of the company. And I think that mentality is a lot different than when you're a renter at any other company out there. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 1,000%. When I came over, when I left Remax to come to Keller Williams, I was like, what a world of difference from a culture standpoint, right? So that's this sharing mentality, open book. I'm working with top producers in my own city marketplace in my office. Nobody's worried about hey, I don't want to share my secrets of what I'm doing on my team. Because really, I think that, as you get older, you realize that, hey, there's no competition out there. It's not against anybody else. The competition is against yourself. You know what I mean? And so we're pretty open book. If anybody comes in and asks us questions or things like that, that's we're there to help. And the other thing that I really love actually is I got my team, Nate, my business partner, he's a certified mentor right now. That is the missing piece of the puzzle in this industry. You coming into this industry not knowing what you're doing, I feel like you've got, I don't want to depress anybody out there, but I think that there's more chances of you failing without being mentored than you succeeding, right? Would you say, Andre?
Oh, for brand new agents, for sure. I mean, brand new agents, I remember it was tough getting started. And that's why 80% of people don't make it in the first couple of years, right? You need the mentorship. You need the hand holding. I mean, at EXP, if you hadn't sold at least 3 houses in the last 12 months, it's kind of a requirement to get a mentor, and EXP will get you a mentor if you're not on a team, because we want to make sure all our people are successful. And when people get plugged into a team like yours and so many of the great ones out there, it's a whole new ball game because we all hold each other to a high standard and we help each other through all the thick and thin. And at most companies, if you fail, there's no one else that's failing. I mean, maybe the broker, the team leader, right? But the people around you, if you do great or if you don't do so great, it doesn't really affect them, right? But with our organization, because we're all financially tied together, and we're it sounds like a cliche, I guess, but we really feel like family because we're real partners. When you win, we all win. And if you fail, we fail. So we make sure and work hard to make sure everybody wins, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you understand it more than I, because now I'm starting to peek under the hood. We came over last year, at the beginning of last year in January, and I was just focused on making my team really great, growing the team, doing better in business. But I'm starting to understand this rev share bit of it. I'm starting to understand the share opportunities and things like that. It's mind blowing actually to see the different avenues and revenue generating streams that you have within EXP, right? So you've been sharing that with me too, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing.
88% of the agents that come to EXP are just taking advantage of the low caps, all the unbelievable technology, the ownership, the discounted health insurance, and and the rest of it, I mean, the list is pretty long. Only 12% in the beginning will really get connected to the rev share because, hey, we're real estate agents. All we've ever done is sell houses, and we want to sell more. And we get to that point. And we've helped agents go from 50 transactions to 100, and from 100 to 200, 200 to 300. But at some point, especially when you're a big dog and you do get selling hundreds of homes a year, at the end of the year, you're like, dang, I got to do this again.
January 1st, it's the reset, right?
You got to do it again. And once you've been in the business as long as we have, you start looking at, okay, what's going to be my exit strategy down the road? When I'm ready, maybe not right now, but when I'm ready to slow that dial down from 10 to maybe 5 or 6 on that transactional treadmill, how am I going to keep making income? And most of us will buy income properties and rentals. We're in that business, and that's a great way to build your portfolio. But when people learn and see the other people that are so successful at that EXP that are making some life-changing income from revenue share, just because of the way the companies set it up for us. They've set it up so we have multiple ways of earning income over and above just selling houses. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very valid point. Where when I started learning about the rev share and the opportunities that it affords, I'm like, okay, so let's just say we're running on for easy math, you're looking at $1 million business. Let's call it even the $1.5 million is typically what we're doing, right? So you got $1.5 million. If I'm not in production, the business model is usually about 20 to 25% profitability. That means paying out the commissions to the team members, having all the expenses. So at 20% profitability on 1.5, you're only making $300,000 at the end of the day before taxes. So I mean, in our marketplace, to make that $1.5 million, you're looking at about, let's call it even 100 ends. So there's a lot of mental capacity that is put into that to get to that point. And every year in January, I got to do that again. So then I'm like, man, if it's 300,000 and I can make 20 or 30 in rev share, passively, I'm like, damn, I'm like, what am I doing? Right? It's great to be a real estate agent. There's no doubt about that. But the passive income, because I invest a lot in rental properties, and we've started to actually get into the development side of it. But I'm like, what else can I get into that doesn't cost a lot of capital? Because even on the development side, I got to come up with $2-3 million to start into the development side. Whereas the rev share, I'm like, I just got to spread the good news, man. It's like the gospel, right? You know what I mean? And so, so I thought that's why it's a huge opportunity on that rev share piece. Yeah,
absolutely. And I'm just excited to see where you're going to grow your business, going forward. Now you by choice, you're mostly out of production and pouring into your team, helping your team grow so they can sell more houses. But now you're going to be able to focus on your business, not just in it. So I'm excited to see, where you take your business, over the next several years, because the opportunities are pretty endless. I know that for sure. Hey, I want to take 1 second and just thank for all our viewers, Nick and Alex and Tom, Rita, Jamie. Any of you guys have any questions for Derrick? Put them in the comments section, and we'll go ahead and ask them if you have any specific questions. And definitely share this out on Facebook. Share him some love and give him some hearts here, so he knows that you guys are listening. But so where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years, Derrick, with your real estate business, your size of your current local team, your organization? What are some of your goals for your Kingdom Group?
Yeah, so I mean, it's for our when we were looking at vision casting and dreaming, I'm like, man, one of my things that I would love to do is actually be able to give away $1 million. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
So if my team can raise enough money, so we look at, okay, so the red book, the MREA was like, hey, $2.5 million to make $1 million of profit, right? So then that would mean that, hey, we if we want to do that and we gave away 50%, I just got to double that number. So it's $4 to $5 million in GCI. And so is it achievable? I think it absolutely is. Nate, who is my business partner, and he's the young guy I'm passing the baton to that is going to be running the business. He's definitely got the legs and he's got the heart. So when I say I'm just very blessed, Andre, because a lot of things in my life have not been super intentional. I don't want to lie to the audience and say, oh, Derrick's a great business person, strategist, and all that kind of stuff. No, everything I tried seemed to fail. But when God gets involved and he like puts people in my path, like it just works amazing. And so like that's why the team is like uber important. Because like that's what's gonna get you there, right? You know what I mean? And so so I would say that, hey, if we can make enough profit to give away $1 million and it kind of in perpetuity, that would be amazing. That means that everybody on my team is eating well, and we're also contributing and making a lot of people successful as well with their endeavors, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. When you bless more people. Sorry about that. I got my fingers there. I just hit a button here and went away for a second. Hey, this is live. Anything can happen. So,
it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah,
I thought I did something wrong. I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? I screwed Andre up.
Yeah, I've never done that before. I just hit the button by accident, and I don't know. I guess it was on the end button or something. But anyway, so yeah, what I was saying is when you bless more people, you just get blessed, right? I mean, my Financial Freedom Forever Facebook page is Zig Ziglar's quote, right? If you help enough people get what they want in life, you'll get everything that you want. And and you can tell with your heart and what you're doing, that's just a blessing. And I know you're gonna do well. And I'm happy and proud to be in business with you as well, Derrick.
Yeah, thanks, Andre. And the other thing is that, like, so if we can do more on the real estate transaction side of things, we also want to get into the development side. So right now in Nova Scotia, like my partners and I are building 160 townhouses in Halifax area. And so with that model, like, I mean, we're selling this as like, pre-construction, but we are actually the developers. But with that model, what I've also learned is like, the BRRRR model, meaning that if we buy it, renovate it, refinance, and then we could rent it out, then it's a cash flowing property. But with our opportunities and our partnership group, like we were actually able to say, okay, well, if it costs us like, X amount to build, we actually get on the refi side because they value it based on their cap rate. So we get all of our initial money back out, plus we make a bump, and then we now have a cash flowing property. So for me, I'm like, if I can get either churches, religious organizations, or investors that support ministry. Now, if we get groups of investors to do that, now we have cash flow in perpetuity to support ministry. So a quick example is that, okay, if I build an 8-plex, and this is a small project, let's say it costs us $1.1 million to make, the banks will finance me afterwards at $1.3 million. Okay, so that means that I've already made $2 million of cash coming back to us. And then on a yearly annual cash flow, it's spitting out $30,000. So then, you know what I mean? And the average missionary we're seeing out there in the world is like needing about, 75 to about 100K. So if I get the group of donors and they do that building, year 2, we do the same thing, year 3, now we have a support system that can spit out money in perpetuity to these missionaries that they support, right? So I'm like, man, we just need more kingdom-minded business people. And then it benefits everybody, right? So the people that are giving to the kingdom, they now have a large asset that they can keep like supporting, and they're also building out their own wealth, right? So that was another one of my, like the big dreams that are happening as well, that, God willing, we can make that happen.
That's pretty exciting. You got your hands into a lot of different avenues, but that's why you're being so successful, right? And you're diversifying, and at the same time, not thinking of yourself, but thinking of others, and you're just being blessed for it. So that's amazing. I'm really excited for you.
Yeah. And Andre, I think like, when we were talking sort of like briefly, like, hey, what would I like to talk about? I think like, figuring out your big why is, again, circling back to that point. I was like, I think it's very important, because like the reality, guys, is like there might be people out there that are either doing real estate right now, been in real estate a long time, or thinking about getting in real estate. I would actually encourage you, if you do some deep soul searching and this is not for you, get out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a bad thing, right? Like, go and pursue something that actually brings satisfaction and meaning to your life, right? You know what I mean? Because, our clients deserve like the best out of us, right? Like these guys are like making big purchases, big sales, making life-changing decisions. If we are not excited for them, then we shouldn't get the opportunity to represent them. And that's why I kind of took a step back, because I'm like, oh man, I feel like I'm just getting very transactional in the business where I used to love on people. So that I'm like, okay, so maybe my time in the transaction has come to an end, but I can train the next generation of agents that are still excited about the business and helping people on that level. You know what I mean? So that I don't have to do this on a transactional side, but my team are still excited. That's what clients deserve, that, right? We're charging some big money, right? So
that's exactly right. Yeah, that's awesome. I love your heart. And again, that's why you're so successful. I'm looking forward to seeing how you continue growing your business, and not just yourself, but your team members, right? How many agents on your team currently?
So actually, again, we're talking about like restructuring, and we're always like failing forward. So this year so it's Nate and myself, and then we hired 2 new agents. So technically there's 3 agents on the street. Now the 2 agents we hired are kind of new in the business. And so It's like they're raw talent. So we get to mold them and shape them. So that's great. We restructured our team where we now actually have 1 administrative assistant that is a VA. Sort of like, like you have it. I have a 1 ISA that's in Mexico, handling all of our calls and inbound online leads. So that's sort of the structure on our team. And so I think we can run really lean this year. Because also, like, the other thing I learned is that, like, hey, we're coming into recession. Like, money is not flowing as much as it is right now. So we got to cut expenses, right? And so we've done some restructuring this year as well. And I think, by God's grace, like it's the right move for us, right? So
yeah, it's just smart business, and knowing what's going on around you with the economy and the market as itself. You need to pay attention to that so we can continue to grow. I mean, doing this 32 years, we've been through several corrections, right? And markets go up, markets go down. But my business, when I was on the streets every day, selling homes, we went up every single year. My personal production never went down. We just when the market went down and other agents, went and did something else, we just worked harder, put the time and effort in, got back to basics, and just took care of our clients and our past clients. And at some point, you get enough referral business that no matter what market that you're in, you're normally going to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our 75% of our business is repeat and referral. So like, we're very blessed and fortunate with that. We've set up systems that, hey, we're in touch with our clients, they have what's called the 22 touch system in Keller Williams, right? So so we're doing like a 33, I think it's 33 touch, but we're actually reaching our clients over 50 times a year. Like through email, like calls, like different client events, because we know that that's sort of like where our like bread and butter is. But then to scale out, like that's where we started adding on this like online lead generation portion of it, because like to scale out, that's where I think that like that next lead generation lever needs to be implemented.
And what lead generation system are you using for that? KV Core or something else?
I was using we're using KV Core more passively in the background, but we are using 2 different companies that are doing Facebook ads right now. So there's a company in Canada called Evolved Agents. So they've been actually great. Again, they have weekly mastermind calls. So like, we're on the calls, they're analyzing our advertisements to see our performance. And if it's not performing well, or if the cost per lead is very high, they'll tweak it on the spot. So they were a really great company because they actually helped me find my ISA in Mexico. So so they $5 US an hour. And so this guy's on the phones banging out the calls for us and nurturing our leads. And he has been like, man, what a blessing. So that's one that's doing Facebook advertisement. And they are also helping us starting to dive into the YouTube ads. So the YouTube ads are a little bit more expensive, but like they're more for listing leads versus the Facebook ads are typically geared towards buyer leads just because of cost.
Right.
Now there's another company called Book More Showings. And this guy named William is amazing. He's like the tech guru of like marketing. And so he's an agent, but him and his partner have different roles. So his partner does more of the sales side of it, and he's developing this online lead generation, and they use what's called Qualifunnel. So if anybody has questions, they can either hit me up or I can do an intro, but it's book more showings, and they are also like fantastic. And so I think in 2 months, we've been able to firm up 2 deals within the first 2 months. And so for us, my ad spend is about between the two of them about $5,000 a month. And our average price in the GTA, we're very fortunate, is like, anywhere from 900,000 to $1 million. So on the GCI side of it, we're making like 25 grand on each. So there's definitely a return on investment, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, I want to change gears just a little bit on looking at coming over to EXP and the collaboration and the training and the help that you get outside of just your own little network. What was the biggest surprise? Because I know like KW and Remax they're known for really good collaboration. But have you taken advantage of like Jay Kinder and Al Stasic and Michael Reese and the National Association of Expert Advisors and the coaching and training that they put on an ongoing daily basis? Are you getting involved in that as well, or mostly just internally?
No, I mean, and that's why, Andre, I'm like, I was in my own little bubble for this first year. Literally, when we came over, like, we're just trying to grind it out, right? And like, get all sorted out, and there was a couple complications, like, not from the EXP side of it, right? Like when I came over, I was an investor at KW, so there was a couple things that we had to iron out. But we were just trying to forward. I was doing my real estate development stuff and trying to run the business. So I was just like my head down and grinding. And as of this last quarter, as I'm doing some more discovery, I'm like, my goodness, there's like some amazing stuff. And I haven't even tapped into that. So I'm really excited to say, okay, well, I just met you, Andre, like at shareholders. And I'm like, I see your emails all the time, but I'm like, wow, I actually got to meet you in person. And there's so many tools out there. But I think that like, I would love to have an offline discussion with you about like, okay, because you get information overload, tell me like the 3 things that you think are mission critical or that would help me the most advance on the like EXP team growth. I would love to learn that stuff from you, and we can have the discussion offline or whatever, right? But
yeah, absolutely. You have my calendar. That's just it. I mean, we're getting close to about 1,000 people in our group, and most people might not. You think, how can you take care of 1,000 different people? But honestly, be surprised how many don't get plugged into everything, because there is so much that EXP offers. 50, 60 hours of training every single week, and they don't get involved in everything that we do. But yeah, we're doing coaching and training and Facebook live training, webinars, Thursdays for production, Fridays for lead funnel training, etc. And as far as building your organization, we have training for that as well. So we're happy to take care of everyone. Every night before I go to bed, I look in my back office and see who joined our organization, and I put their name and phone number and email in my cell phone. So every single person is in my cell. So when someone in my team calls me, no matter if they're from Alaska or Ontario or California or anywhere in between, I'm picking up the phone because I know who it is, and we're here to help. And that's what's amazing. I mean, the way we got connected was 4 years ago. I called up Pierre Nadeau in Kingston, Ontario, is an old friend of mine, right? And Pierre's got an awesome story. I mention it often because he was the first independent broker owner that partnered up with me. And he was doing about 250 deals a year, 225 with his team of 13, right? But he was working like 80 hours a week, and he had his 4-year anniversary with EXP just this past week. And I know they're way over 500 units a year. But more importantly, his team has grown to 40, from 13 to 40 in his office, and over 600 in globally. But the thing I'm most proud of, he was working 80 hours a week. broker owner, independent, running the company. And like you said, when you're in production, and then when if you want to get out of production, there's a lot to it, as far as keeping the bills paid, right? But Pierre's been able to, he told me he 5x'd his net income, and his hours went from 80 to about 30 to 35. And he played three rounds of golf a week last year. And now he winters in Arizona. Right?
Yeah.
So we're changing people's lives with this model, the people that really get connected. But so I reached out to Pierre. Him and I reached out to Rick Dillon, who sponsored Robert Pepperini.
Yes.
Who sponsored Waleed, who sponsored your sponsor Ellis.
Yes.
And you're like on my seventh level. And everyone in between, we're business partners, and I'm here to help you change your life and your kid's life, and that really excites me. And we never knew each other, and just met each other in Orlando, right? For the first time a few weeks ago. But that's the scalability of this model, and I'm excited to death because we're just getting started. Right? Like you said, most people get plugged into EXP for all the other huge benefits. And after they're here they're here for a year or two. And now they have, doubled their business. They see that growth. But at the same time, for doing exactly what they did before, they now have ownership and they have stocks. And some people have a lot of stock, right?
Yeah.
Someone like yourself who's an Icon agent, you get your entire $16,000 back in company stock, and do that for a few years. And with the growth, the growth this past week's been phenomenal. It's pretty exciting. But then at some point they start seeing what happens when you have more income coming in because of your sales. You normally have more time to start looking around at what other things that you can get involved with and do. And you get connected to the other people in your business that are growing the company, and then people get plugged into that as well. And you have like 8 different ways of earning income to change your family's life, and then start changing, your grandkids' life, and then like you starting changing people around the country because of what you're doing.
Yeah. And Andre, I think what you touched on right now, like you said, hey, you guys have like almost like you guys have so much training that's within EXP, but you within your organization have like training as well, right? And so that's why I think it's so critical that, okay, so whoever you name as sponsor, and this is not a solicitation for anybody, but the great thing that I recognize and now I feel so like privileged is that, okay, well, if I bring anybody on, I don't have time to train and teach people necessarily, right? So somebody might get lost in the EXP world, for example, if I'm not hand-holding them. But if I can plug into Rick Dillon, who could plug into your systems and your training, then they can grow. Because I think that most people statistically would move within companies to get better in production. So they want to be a better real estate agent. So they still need that training. So you guys already have the infrastructure set up, which is like super critical. And then as I like for my journey, I'm like, oh man, this rev share stuff is real. I'm looking at around people around me. I'm like, hey man, like people are making a lot of money here. So I'm like, I want a piece of that too. So I think that like for anybody who's listening, like, yes, join, make sure that upline has the training and support you need. And I think that's why your organization is really impressive, right?
Yeah, I think we put a lot of time and effort into helping our people as much as we can. And what's cool is our goal is their goal. They could be a newer agent. They did 5 deals last year. They want to get to 10 this year, right? Maybe they're doing 30. They want to get to 40. Maybe they have a team. They're already doing 100 units, like you guys, and you're ready to get to 150, 200 units and start doing other things like buying properties and doing things like you're doing in other provinces, et cetera. Whatever your goal is our goal. And we have people that are, they're self-sufficient. They can do, they do their thing, and they don't want or need a lot of extra help and support. So we don't bug them. We normally are emailing and do texts and give them let them know about what's available so they can share it with their team and anyone who's interested. But there's nobody micromanaging anyone, no one making you do anything you don't want to do. But when you need the love and support and help, we pride ourselves in being able to be there and available to take care of you. And that's why I have my wife, Beth, that she was a broker herself in 2 different states, and just loves to love on people. And she helps me onboard our new people, and is our concierge to help with anything they need. And she reaches out to every single person who joins and gives them her information, and say, I know you have a great sponsor, I know you have a great team of people, but I'm just another resource for you. If and when you need us, please reach out. And that's what we do with everyone, because this is a relationship business, and we try to build relationships with everyone we possibly can, and are available. And I think and you guys are doing the same thing, and I think that's what makes a big difference.
Yeah. Great.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I really enjoyed talking with you, Derrick. Is there any last minute things that you'd like to share before we kind of sign off for today?
Going back to that big why portion of it, I'm like, okay, so there are definitely some resources that can help you kind of like self-discover, like, hey, what is important for you? Like, you look at the Anthony Robbins, you go in their DISC assessment. So there's tools like the DISC assessment. I'm a huge fan of these things because it gives you insight. Like the Myers-Briggs, like kind of testing and assessment. And then also like for people that are like Christian, there's actually a program called the Grip Berkman, which is another a test like the Myers-Briggs, but it actually gives a spiritual component. So It highlights your top 3 spiritual gifts. And it was so insightful for me, because I'm like, my top spiritual gift is actually generosity. So then it just helped open my eyes to say, oh my gosh, has been my whole life. Like, I feel this way. I don't know why I'm wired this way, but it was confirmation, and then allowed me permission to say, okay, well, I know who I am and how God has wired me. Let me just pour into that. I'm not good at all these other things, and I'm not, compassionate or whatever. That's not my gifting. But if I pour into this and that's how God wired me, it's all good. Like, let's focus on there. So if you go, and I'm trying to get certified in the Grip Berkman coaching, but you can go online and you can do their assessment as well. And I think that's very valuable insight. So as I'm getting older, I'm like, the truer you are to who you are, then you can contribute to the world on a higher level if you just do you. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for everything that you've shared, Derrick. I always ask people at the last question is if you have a book that you like to recommend, if you're a book reader, or a movie that you like to recommend, if you're a movie watcher, what you want to share with people.
Oh man, it's funny you asked that, because like yesterday, my wife and I were watching. It was on Prime. It was Air, and so I thought that was kind of an inspirational story. It was talking about how Nike developed. Do you know the movie?
No.
It's about Nike and the shoe company and how they landed Michael Jordan, and they got him to how they developed the Air Jordan line. And it was just like, it was just very inspirational, because like Nike at the end of it, their basketball division was like really crappy, but like through the tenacity and the hard work, the vision of like one of the employees there, they landed Michael Jordan, and the rest is history, right? So yeah, so that's a good watch.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. Again, I appreciate your time today, for joining us on the Financial Freedom Forever Facebook live group. And we ask everyone to come back next Wednesday, same time, same place. And we'll see you at the next live event, Derrick. Thanks for your time today.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks,
all
everyone.
Right. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Listen to what our business partners are saying about our FFF group.
What I like best about the Financial Freedom Forever group is that we have a diverse network of high-level producers that mastermind and share best practices to help improve each other's businesses. And the network has become such a close-knit group with such a tight culture that you just won't find anywhere else.
The Financial Freedom Forever group's been absolutely amazing. The training, the coaching, spent tens of thousands of dollars on coaching in the past, and I've gotten more out of the last year and a half than I've gotten out of all of that.
I believe you surround yourself with like-minded people that are doing 10, 15, 20 times more than me and you put together. We all bring each other up and bring our businesses to the next level and our lives. To learn more about how to partner with us, go to partnerwithandre.com or click the link below, and let's have a conversation.